You want me to tell you my story? I'm going to tell you my awkward story.
Okay.
So for some reason, all of the vintage pants that I decided to buy, they're all wool blends, which if you have dry skin gets super itchy. I was sitting at my desk today, and my legs were so itchy that I could tell I was like getting attention from people wondering why I keep scratching. And I was just like, okay, I have to do something about this. In the women's bathroom, they have a full bottle, like full-size bottle of lotion. All right, I'll be weird. I'm going to go put lotion on. So I go in the bathroom. Sweet, no one's there. Grab the whole bottle, take it into the stall with me like that person.
Take your pants off.
Because I have to put the lotion on my pants. I'm not going to be there like, hey, how's it going? Have someone walk in like no pants on, putting lotion on, right? So then this is kind of in the middle of like our rush busy time, but I'm like, I'm so fucking itchy. I have to do this. Put the lotion on.
Now, when you say that, do you mean like work productive busy or like bathroom time busy?
Work productive busy.
Okay, so so you probably have good odds of like having the bathroom to yourself.
I'm hoping. Well, no, because
good odds.
No, my team is so different. It's actually bad odds because it's when a lot of people are leaving because they get there earlier than me. Put the bathrooms to myself. Put the lotion on. Button the pants. Hook the pants. Zip the pants. Didn't get lotion anywhere that it shouldn't be. Sweet. Get ready to leave, and people start coming in. So then I'm just awkwardly standing there because I've already got like my pants all zipped and I'm already standing.
You're ready, but you're holding
a bottle. And I'm really tall. Yes, and I'm really tall, so I'm pretty sure like the top of my head is showing over the stall. So I'm just a person standing in the stall awkwardly. The pants I'm wearing are very like distinct. They're like this burgundy red men's nice 70s dress pants. I love them. But you can see them, you know, under the stall. It's like very clearly me standing quietly in the stall, just like, go away, like hoping that everyone's like,
right, like if someone wasn't totally preoccupied with emptying either their bladder or their bowels,
they probably like, still were like, what are you doing?
What would happen is they'd see the top of your head, and then they'd be able to mentally like remove the stall like, and just see a fully
just be like standing there,
grown ass woman fully clothed, just standing in the
holding
bathroom
the fucking
stall,
bottle of lotion
with no like just like.
So then it gets even better because I'm like I can't walk out carrying the lotion because then everybody's gonna be like, why did you take the lotion in the stall? And then I'm gonna have to be like, my legs were itchy. It's a thing. But then I realize. Now I'm standing in the bathroom holding the lotion, and, like, the lotion is always there. And so everyone knows that the lotion is missing. And it said original scent. No, it was some nasty, it was like original scent with cherry almond extract, which means smells like shit. And it's very fragrant. And I'm like, I feel like everybody is walking in here smelling lotion, wondering where the lotion bottle is and why someone is standing stock still in the stall, just like heavy breathing. I don't think I was, but I'm just like standing there. Finally, like the two people leave and I like bust out of the stall and like slam the lotion down, wash my hands, like leave, like nothing happened.
Wow.
And you're friends with me.
Yes. For that very reason. You're very flawed.
Thank you. Because I'm the freak that decides to put lotion on.
No, I'm saying everyone's flawed.
Oh, okay.
But you wear it on your sleeve and you're like, this is who I am. And I'm like, I admire that.
Because I'm like, I'm itchy. I'm just going to fucking do this.
Right. So, tie this into the show? How do we?
Oh, we can. Welcome to Campfire Curmudgeon. My name is Heidi Schilling, and with me is...
Nicholas Jones doing the cold open.
Doing the cold open.
With some cold lotion.
It was a cold lotion. It was. Cold, stinky lotion.
Oh. All right, so we're back talking about Becky?
Becky.
Beck.
Well, apparently we were saying it wrong, by the way. It's not BEK. They're Becks.
Oh, like children. C. Becks. BECs. Or B.
No. BEKs, but nobody besides us apparently says BEK. They say Beck.
Within the community that's aware and pursuing this.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I guess we were uninformed.
Okay.
You know whose fault that is? Whoever did the fucking research.
It should be all mine.
It's all your fault. You didn't do any of the research, so I guess technically it's my fault.
On stuff like this, I don't even do a mile wide or an inch deep. It's like, okay, I don't even I'm just like, okay, here's a thing.
Here's a thing that may or may not be true. Actually, that's more me. I'm just like, here's something I read on the internet. And I'm going to tell you.
This show is what we read on the internet.
That's true. Or what you send us. In fact, we had a correction. Did you know that?
I think I read an email.
We got an email from Susie. I'm not going to read your last name. Sorry if you're listening.
It's okay.
I don't do last names unless you tell me to, because it's like privacy concerns.
But also thank you for taking the time.
Yes. So Susie says that we were wrong about Brian Bethel.
Uh-huh.
He saw the BEK in Abilene, Texas at the Westwood Theater. This was where he lived in 1996. I think I said that he was driving through there. That's where I had read that he was passing through. But he still lives there today. So this happened in his hometown. And he's been with the Abilene Reporter News for the last 25-ish years, is what Susie says. His experience
so it's not just
a
job. That's his career.
No, this is his career. His experience has been well documented and wasn't as I described, which is not a shocker.
Uh-huh.
Because I have brain damage.
Or as you like to say, Dane damage.
Dane damage. No, that and let's be honest, I am not the best researcher because I research these on my lunch breaks.
Well, maybe Poetic Heretic is a better researcher. He's got a 2-minute story. It's also about Brian Bethel. Maybe he's a better storyteller. Let's listen.
Do it.
Greetings and salutations. I am Poetic Heretic, and this is a story that is said to be the origin of the popularity of the Black Eyed Kids.
No, I think he wears a cape.
I wear capes.
The term Black Eyed Kids hit popular culture on 16th of January 1998 when journalist Brian Bethel posted his encounter with children whose eyes were black with no iris or white.
Spooky.
Bethel sat in his car across from a movie theater in Abilene, Texas at 9:45 p.m. when he heard a tap on his window. 2 boys between the ages of 10 and 14 stood outside, staring at him. An overwhelming sense of fear and unearthliness rushed in, Bethel wrote in his post. The boys insisted Bethel drive them home. "Let us in," one said. "We can't get in your car until you do, you know. Just let us in." As Bethel began to open the door, he saw the boys' pure black eyes. "Just 2 staring orbs," he wrote. Bethel jerked away from the door and drove quickly out of the parking lot. When he looked behind him, the sidewalk was empty. The boys were gone. More than a decade and a half later, Bethel still doesn't know what he encountered. "I honestly wish I could explain this away," Bethel said. "I've tried to come up with any number of scenarios, from my eyes being temporarily dilated from the brightness of the theater marquee to me just plain not seeing things properly. Most of the time, I try to just push this particular event back into my subconscious. But it is always there."
Okay. It helps to not read the story as if you're the Zodiac killer. Like this is the Zodiac speaking.
Dear editor.
That's more like the dramatic reading. It's like, okay, well, it made me want to think like, you know, like, oh, the Brian heard a tapping on his door, and the Black Eyed Kids turned to him and they said, "Right, nevermore." Like,
oh God.
But
that was more of like a parrot.
But I know I was doing Iago from
Ravens don't really.
I know I was doing
sound like that,
Iago
Nicholas.
from Aladdin.
Duh.
Like Jafar!
Oh my God. He's even doing facial expressions. I super wish I had taken a picture of that. Not the boring photo I just took of you. Your T-shirt matches your pop filter on your mic, and I was like, I don't know why, but I really want to take a picture of this.
Okay. So that makes a really good visual image for our listeners right now who are listening to this.
They care.
But one of the things that kind of cracks me up about this is like, oh, it's widely reported, and the first time it's ever occurred is 1998. I'm like, I heard of Black Eyed Kids before that. I think everybody who went to the cinema did when you've seen, horror movie Possessions or the teaser opening scene of X-Files Fight the Future. That movie came out in 95, 96. I think it was 95. It opens in Texas, with a kid falling into a hole in the ground, and then the black oil gets in him, and then he looks up at and then 2 weeks later there's a government compound.
I was trying to figure out what you were talking about. You're talking about the what's it called? The goo.
The black goo, black oil, black. I think they call it black oil.
I don't remember.
It's part of the conspiracy.
Dean Bramage.
It's part of the alien conspiracy of the narrative of the X-Files.
But that's right, yeah. The interesting thing, we watched some video that actually had Brian giving, his encounter, and
it's not fit for consumption. It's
oh
not.
no, yeah, we can't really share it with you because the audio is very bad on it.
The audio is bad and the video is bad, but it's
like a microphone up this guy's nose practically.
Yeah, it's like it was like a mono audio underwater like microphone that was
yes,
recorded
he yelled
through
at me.
Skype.
How am I supposed to listen to this?
Like,
You know how loud this is turned up?
I was like, shut up, shut up, so we can hear. He didn't seem to, I don't know, like, I can't really make too many, like, judgment calls on whether or not he wants attention kind of type, you know? Like, he didn't really seem like he was trying to get attention. He seemed kind of, like, bored with being interviewed. Yeah, kind of like, God, another freak interviewing me.
See,
like, I just saw
that's kind of the part of it. It starts out as novelty, right?
Yeah, like you and I were
fun.
like, okay, maybe this guy is going to be kind of kooky.
And then you start getting surrounded, like, after a few years, the initial, like, interest in the story dies away. And then, like, the people that approach you are people that you're just like, could you please go see some therapists?
Well, what's really funny, too, is he is the one that's, like, considered responsible for coining the term BEK, BEK, whatever. And he actually didn't seem too, like, pleased with that. He was like, yeah, like, because the guy kept saying, Beck, Beck, Beck. And Brian was just kind of like, yep. And he was like, yeah, you coined this term. He was like, yeah, well, I didn't do it on purpose. And it kind of, like, I don't know, I got the vibe that he was just like, please fucking stop saying Beck. Like, he does not like the fact that people call him that. He was just kind of like, yeah, that it is what it is. And, it's what I said because I was just describing what they looked like, and it stuck. Like, he doesn't really want to be, like, known for. Yeah. From that interview, anyways, it just didn't seem like it. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I'm not here to disparage the man at all. I mean, everybody has something that they can't explain.
Well, so his story, even if the kids didn't have black eyes, it's still really freaking creepy.
Also, the description of, like, I thought my eyes were dilated from the theater lights. I'm like, that's not how eyes work. Like,
no, from the marquee. He looked up at the marquee, and he thought that because it was light, that his eyes
would be less dilated?
Yes, okay. That's what this person meant, that his pupils closed up to try to keep the light out, and then he went out into the dark, and they didn't adjust properly, which some people's eyes take longer than others to adjust. And in the dark, somebody with dark brown eyes could appear. I mean, I wouldn't say the whites of their eyes, unless maybe they're one of those people that they have real small eyes, like my husband, where you're like, where'd they go?
It could be jaundice also.
Yeah.
Just because you don't see
somebody
whites
that's really
their
jaundiced.
Eyes,
I mean, if you're that jaundiced, you better drop.
Yeah.
But, well, even if you take out the fact that these kids had black eyes, it's like, this is creepy. Like, just approaching a man. First off, I don't know, maybe...
Like, there have been...
Like, I just feel like, as a kid, I wouldn't... Even if I'm a female, but even, as a male child, like, I don't feel like I would walk up to some guy in a parking lot and be like, hey, mister, give me a ride. Like, It's like, hello, stranger danger. This wasn't the 80s. This was the 90s when it was like, you're going to get raped and murdered.
98,
don't go out.
This was at the height of, like...
Satanic panic.
No, 98 was, like, protect your children from... Yes. Because every single male is a pedophile.
Yes, it was, everyone's a pedophile. Everyone's a Satanist. Everyone's going to rape and murder your child and then perform a satanic ritual over them. Yes, this was like...
So, like, walk up to the single male who's
my
sitting in a theater parking lot.
Yeah, that's weird and ballsy. Like, what were they going to do?
Well, I think... where did we hear that he was paying a utility bill? Or, like...
No, that was a story that I had read to you on a different individual who was paying the utility bill when a kid walked up.
Right.
And it was a very similar story. It was like the whole... let me in your car kind of a thing, and he was just like, I don't like this. Why are you trying to get in my car so bad? That's why it's so weird. It's like, give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride. Like, how about I call your parents or something?
Like, another, like, not necessarily Brian's story, but, there are other people that have encountered BEKs where what happens is they get interviewed by people who, I don't want to say they have ulterior motives, although that's how I would describe it, because basically they're taking this, like, weird, unexplainable phenomenon, and they're putting it in a piece of their already, like, pre-baked mythology / theology / worldview. One of these gentlemen is L.A. Marzulli, who lives in an undisclosed location in the Santa Monica Mountains in L.A. He can only be described as a kind of Mark Maron of Christian fundamentalist broadcasters who takes his cues from like modern day cable news and reality shows. I just want to play a little bit of the opening of his episode on Black Eyed Kids.
Go for it.
The heavenly war that we hear about all throughout the biblical prophetic narrative. Let's take the book of Daniel, which in my opinion gives us a rare insight into the protocols of the heavenly war that has been raging since Genesis 3. And in my opinion, the fallen cherub, i.e. Satan, has been actively trying to usurp the throne of the Most High God since the rebellion took place in what may be the far distant past. In the Daniel narrative,
as opposed to the
specifically
near
in
distant
chapter
past.
9, we read that Daniel prays, and then 21 days later an angel appears to him. The angel then informs Daniel that he was dispatched the moment Daniel's request reached the throne of the Most High God. However, the angel was restrained by the prince of Persia. And folks, I got to tell you, when I read that the first time, I was greatly perplexed. Why can't the angel get through? Why is he being restrained by this entity known as the prince of Persia?
Because he keeps
And
falling
in fact,
off the ledge and
the
he can't
angel, the
rewind
good
time.
angel, had to go and get Michael, and who knows how many other angels with Michael, to come and assist him in battling his way through. Is that a gateway?
It'd be
Is
weird
that a
to walk
portal?
into the
Obviously, it has to be something
Archangel
like
Saloon
that.
and
Why
be like,
couldn't
I
the good
need
angel
a
just
huckleberry.
Sort of do an end run? He can't do that. He's got to get through that gateway, that portal. Very, very interesting. This is a rare, very rare glimpse into the raging cosmic war. The war that is being fought in an unseen dimension and from time to time spills out over onto ours. In short, the supernatural is all too real. That being said, we now turn to what I consider a troubling series of events with entities that seem to be appearing to people randomly and without any warning. We covered some of this in our film, Watchers 5, and the interviews were both astonishing and very eye-opening. Again, if we believe in the supernatural, if we believe in a literal devil who at some point will seat his man, the Antichrist, in the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem and declare himself God.
Check,
then if that is the case, and if we are living in the last days, as many of us believe,
I believe molasses
then these
days.
encounters may be yet another sign of how late the hour actually is. Recently, one of these black-eyed kids appeared to a pastor and an elder just outside their church. They were doing a prayer walk around the grounds of the building. When I talked to the pastor, he informed me.
All right, I'm going to pause that for a second. Heidi, what's a prayer walk?
It's just casting a protection spell, but Christians call it a prayer walk.
Okay, so in the interest of kind of enlightening knowledge, the way that you might think about this is it's not that Christianity or any of it's wrong necessarily, it's just misguided. They're using actual mechanisms and powers that they think are like prayer and like divine intervention and that kind of stuff, except what they're really doing is kind of witch and warlock stuff that's kind of misfiring. Is that right?
I mean, I wouldn't say misfiring. It's just funny because it's myself and certain people that practice what they might call witchcraft or paganism or whatever will cast like a protection spell around their house,
so it's
things
kind of,
like that.
It's pantheistic kind of. Yeah.
It can be, but
I just feel like this stuff is like where people believe.
Yes, I was being sarcastic earlier when we watched this, and I said, "Oh, they're casting a protection spell," but yeah, it's like the same thing, which is why it's funny. It's they're praying around the perimeter of the church.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of churches they do it around the parking lot to try to protect the grounds from like evil.
Well, my issue is when something is so like when it's so spiritually literal like this, it becomes hollow to me. It doesn't mean anything because it doesn't cause people to like want to grow. It just feels like, oh well, actually, if you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you'll love Christianity because there's this entire pantheon of characters and everything can be explained once it, just like it expands out for reaches and reaches and there's nothing that can't be explained through like biblical literalism. Like it might as well be like as if, oh, Jesus is just an MCU character, right? Like it's just that's how wide and far the biblical literalism goes. What I want to skip to is his interview with this woman. I don't know what her background is, but she's a jogger, and she lives in Los Angeles, as far as I can tell. I think she lives in Los Angeles. We first see her being walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Showed up. Very interesting. Having an interest in all areas of paranormal, I read them and kind of cataloged the information away for future use. But at the time, it seemed like...
Okay, sorry. Bear with me a second.
2 blocks away from my house, on my jog with my iPod.
And this is morning or afternoon?
It was afternoon. It was actually, I can tell you exactly what time it was. It was exactly 5:17. And that is important because I had been having a reoccurring experience with that number.
Now, in this video, if you check it out on YouTube,
after researching it for so long,
she's drinking what looks like a white wine out of a wine glass. He's drinking water
out of a wine glass.
For lack of a better word.
But I had never seen any children ever on that corner, and I was 2 blocks away, and I was approaching the corner of Hartford and Shepherd, and there was a boy. He was about 10 years old. Kind of striped shirt and baggy black pants, and it kind of looked a little strange. And the other thing that I noted was that he was wearing a yarmulke, which was very typical for that neighborhood.
You hear that stings, that music, duh.
And his head was down.
His head was down. Was he wearing any yarmulke on? Right,
and he was wearing a yarmulke, yes. So I didn't
Every
think
time they say
anything of
yarmulke,
it.
it's like,
I'm running, I'm in my zone, I'm going east. And at the last minute as I approached him, I was just a few feet away. I glanced up, and I usually smile hello at people. And that's what I did. I
smile
glanced
hello
up,
at no
and
one.
he caught me with this very intense look, and it was just frightening.
Whether they're there all the time and we're just not aware, or whether they're able to sort of shift into our reality, maybe that's the case. But
this is the author of the book Black Eyed Kids.
The accounts are becoming more widespread. There are more and more of these stories showing up, and there's some kind of an agenda going on.
And this was the blackest depths that...
Without putting words in your mouth, give me a word for what you saw.
It was just like a cavern of... looking down into a vacant cavern with just evil at the bottom.
Okay, so it's the operative word here would be evil?
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
So I believe that these beings, I don't think they have any good purpose at all. It's something very sinister. And I believe that they are actually somehow feeding off of that fear.
You're not sure, you bolted the scene, and you're not sure how...
She was jogging. You bolted the scene.
Did you do this at least once?
No.
Behind you?
No, I was so scared, honestly, because he was so evil, and I could feel it. I could feel it.
Have you ever felt fear like this before?
Well, not really to that extent.
Not to that
no,
extent.
I mean, all my hairs were standing up. That's typically what happens when I encounter negative energy. I do get the hair standing on end thing going on, but I really just was so frightened by the whole thing that my only reaction was to run fast in the other direction and not look back. And I didn't look.
Okay.
So she normally has this reaction when she encounters negative activity?
Negative energy? Yeah.
Did you count that? Catch that? Oh my gosh.
What?
I'm sorry. My brain just needs to reboot. Words aren't working right. Give me a moment. Jeepers.
Okay. So
You talk.
I'm not going to play any more of the video. I just think that that's a fascinating thing about... there's a couple things there in terms of historical context of the yarmulke and the stings. Now, I'm not going to ascribe any of that to anti-Semitism, although I think I don't think that this guy's anti-Semitic. I think that the theology behind end times Christian theology is inherently anti-Semitic.
I told you about.
Basically, they celebrate Judaism and they want to protect Israel because they think that the Jews have a really special yet limited and finite role to play in the end of the world.
It's very weird.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, you do get some of that. Yeah, when you and I watched this the first time, and she's like, "You had a yarmulke on?" We were like, where
What?
is this going?
Like-
Excuse me?
Yeah.
It's like, so you just probably ran past a little Jewish boy who looked up at you like, why are you running at me?
Right.
Because you're jogging.
Well, she
And
also
you probably
said
had,
it's like
dark brown eyes or something.
She goes, well, I didn't see any kids, and I usually don't see any kids, but then I saw a kid with a yarmulke on, which is typical for that neighborhood, and I'm like, yeah, you're in like West LA.
Also, like, I don't know why that has to be like a qualifier. That's like being like, and I saw a person, oh, and he looked Mexican, oh, and that's typical for that neighborhood. Like, first off, we don't need to know that he looked Mexican if it's not relevant to him being a BEK, and we don't care what the neighborhood is like that you're running in. Like, just FYI.
Here's some interesting, like, just phenomenal questions I have. I don't mean they're great questions. I just mean they're.
Oh, I just thought because you think you're phenomenal.
No, they're questions about the phenomena itself. Why always 9 or 10? Why always described as black-eyed kids, but we never hear, like, they're either A, androgynous, or B, boyish.
Yeah.
They're never black-eyed little girls.
Well,
right?
I have read a couple stories of black-eyed little girls, but it's mostly boys.
Right. Why mostly shift to that? Why prepubescent? Right. Like why preteen?
The story that we read last time had one that looked 17.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be weird.
Well, because there's usually a young one and an older one is one of the most common.
They travel in pairs, like Mormons, so they can't get into like some not evil trouble.
Maybe they're just really tiny Mormons that are trying to get in and they just want to come in and
so
people
long,
won't let them
LDS
in.
listeners.
Why? What? They don't have really short missionaries. I guarantee you there's some really short missionaries.
Okay.
There's got to be at least one.
All right.
There's lots of Mormons.
Also, like does this only happen to white people? Because it seems to be.
I mean,
like there's not a lot of people of color that have come out. There's not other communities like that have this phenomenon. Maybe they have bigger fish to fry. Like they're like, okay, well you live in a society or a culture or a certain neighborhood that has like zero other like endemic or innate problems, and that's when all the supernatural shit happens, right? Like the supernatural evil never busts out in a place that's filled with strife or like a war zone or like the.
I actually do hear stories during like war zones and stuff. People see really weird shit. Mm-hmm. It's just I think that's not a priority. Like.
I also think
I saw a ghost, but I was also being shot at, so I'll tell you the ghost story later.
But I also think on like some of the battlefields is where human beings see the most like fucked up shit, and that's where their brains break. And,
you think so?
Well,
I don't know.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, but I know people that have seen some stuff in war zones, and they don't believe in anything.
But it might not be like post-traumatic stress. It might be like current traumatic stress, or like simultaneous to watching the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. I see something that I might describe as supernatural.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, I don't discount black-eyed kids necessarily, but I do think it's going to be
so hard to not say black-eyed peas, isn't it?
No, it's really not. It's just you. No, but I think it's going to get more difficult to find actual stories
I'm very
of this.
2000 and late.
Yeah, you are. 2000's called. They want their Nicholas back.
I don't want them back. That decade sucked.
Oh, why are you still living in it, honey? Oh, that's okay. My pants are from the 70s.
And your lotion's from your work bathroom. And
smells like cherry barf. All day I was just sitting there like, I regret my decision. I regret my decision.
If I could do it over again.
But it was really itchy. Moral of that story, don't wear wool in Arizona summer with dry skin. It's a weird combination.
Okay, so like later I think he posits, or somebody posits, I think it might be the author of the book, who was interviewed, posits that they're possibly hybrids of what and what, I don't know.
He said he was referencing alien hybrids.
See, and that's the thing, like there's this weird, like...
Nicholas didn't turn his phone on silent.
No, I didn't. I did. That's why it went...
That's called vibrate, not silent. Do you know the difference?
Well, there's do not disturb.
iPhones are dumb.
Okay. There's this really like weird confluence of like supernatural belief, conspiracy theory, supernatural stuff, like flat Earth or Planet X, and then certain like Christian sects.
Oh yeah, there are. We were talking
right.
about that.
Like
where
this
it was
guy,
very interesting.
Like the author of the Black Eyed Kids book isn't necessarily like the fundamentalist Christian like the or the L.A. Marzulli guy, but at the same time they kind of complement each other because they're like, well, this guy may not be like the Christian, but at the same time his work doesn't like it folds right into my belief system. And for the conspiracy guy, he's like, well, yeah, well, you know, Genesis and the Bible and all that stuff, that's just one part of many pieces of this big puzzle. And so they kind of consider it like a kind of what Stephen Jay Gould would say, non-overlapping magisteria. He would say there's definitely overlap. Because they're these two separate and yet kind of like two pieces of gum stuck together.
Like somehow they have it's very weird because it's things that
it's not homogenized, but you
wouldn't expect like
right.
somebody who's very Christian religious. I wouldn't always expect them to like latch on to some of the ideas sometimes. Like I mean I guess like. I guess it's like, well, I don't know why I think that, but I guess also the Christian religion that I have a lot of experience with is like my dad who's uber Catholic and is like, I don't believe in anything.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's like how I assume everyone who's Christian is.
Yeah,
like,
there's part of that. And then
nothing
they're
is
like,
real.
no, there's true believers out there. And you're like, let me talk to them. But then it's like, okay, well, let's go survey Alex Jones's InfoWars audience.
No, thank you.
How many, like, I would bet money that there's more self-described Christians than atheists in the InfoWars audience.
I could almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
But what I was saying too about how it's going to be more difficult is the one interview we were watching with Brian Bethel. He was talking. Actually, I think the person that was interviewing him was talking about how at the time. Contacts like this, the black contacts that you can get, blackout contacts, they weren't readily available.
No, this is 98.
And,
he was talking about how Michael Jackson, the story about how Michael Jackson got the contacts for the Thriller
super
video.
Custom and uncomfortable.
And they made him like really uncomfortable.
Like I remember checking on colored contacts for Halloween that were for my prescription. Probably I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and they were $300.
Yeah.
For like one pair, or maybe it was even for like one eye or something stupid like that.
Right.
And
so to get custom blackout contacts.
Yeah, now I can get the same thing for nothing.
No, 20 years ago. God, 20 years ago.
Now I can get them for less than $20 a pair, which is insane because I guess I have a weird prescription according to the website I just tried to buy glasses from.
Well, also now they have 3D printers, so.
Well, I mean, my sister buys them. A lot of the time, I think now she'll buy prescription ones, but before she'd buy non-prescription ones and just wear them with her glasses. And you can buy them so cheap. Like, a lot of them are probably not great for your eyes, but she can even get them cheap. She gets them from her eye doctor, just like daily wear ones that are crazy colors that are from your regular, just same place you buy your normal contacts. Like, you can get them on 1-800-CONTACTS, super cheap. And so I think that's going to cause a lot of false black-eyed kid sightings, so it's going to be very difficult to really have sightings that are genuine.
I think this mostly can be attributed back to him, like Bethel, in terms of the start of it. Because when you Google it or when you do a YouTube search, he's most of the hits. But at this point, I think he's kind of like, yeah, I'm just a reporter.
Yeah, it's like I just reported on what I saw, and it was a thing.
Yeah. Because I don't think he ascribes motive. He just sticks to the facts, right? Like, facts don't care about your feelings. And so he's being surrounded now by people who have feelings about what he experienced. And he's just like, no, I was in a car, and then this kid walked up to me, and he's like, hey, we need a ride. And then I rolled down my window a little bit, and then I saw that his face and his eyes were black, and I felt a terror I've never felt before, so then I rolled up my window and drove the hell out of there, because my fight or flight response was engaged, and I was freaked out. And then, after that, then everybody with an agenda comes out of the woodwork.
An agenda?
Yeah.
Well, we did have a couple more stories that I found online, actually, where people were talking about their experiences. This individual says that one of their close friends, I'll read it, one of my close friends said she saw one on a subway platform in Manhattan. She claims a girl in a Catholic school uniform all alone was drawing her attention. So she was watching her from behind. So she was standing behind this girl. And then the girl turned around. She had gigantic black eyes and just scared my friend to the core. Whenever she retold it, she shuddered, and you could see that it stuck with her.
Yeah.
I guess she wound up Googling the phenomena and was certain that this was what she experienced.
That's crazy.
I don't know what year this was. This was posted fairly recently, it looks like last year. So I don't have a lot of context for the story. Because again, it's like nowadays you can just buy those contacts so cheap.
Right.
It wouldn't be surprising to see somebody dressed in
That's
like a school uniform with black eyes.
You're in New York. Somebody's probably doing an avant-garde like performance art type thingy. My experience with there have been people where when I was in high school in like 1998. One of the things that I remember is I worked at a hardware store, and one of the girls that worked at the hardware store, her name was Jen. And Jen had a boyfriend who, he would be what you would now call a douchebag. Before that was kind of being tossed around. He had like the SS shaved side haircut type thing happening. He always wore like backwards baseball cap, and like he lifted weights, and then he wore, I never saw him without it. Like he was very disciplined about wearing these like whiteout contacts that made him look like a white albino. So basically all of his eye was white except for the dot of his pupil. And I swear to God, every time I saw him, like the instinct that you had in your head was don't look at it. Like you just avoid eye.
Yes, and for me, it's because it makes my eyes water.
And everybody that he encountered did that. I kind of watched him around to other people. They would just break eye contact. And then I was just like, one day after, like, because he would come in a lot, but also we would go to music shows and stuff, and like it would be like Jen comes along and then her boyfriend, and then it's like, hey, those are contacts, right? He's not like a albino. I don't want to be mean. And he goes, oh, no, yeah, he totally wears them as contacts. I'm like, that's a fucked up life choice.
Especially, too, like, I don't know, but I think that those ones make it kind of hard to see.
They might.
Like, because I know some people that have the white ones.
This was like in 1997, 98, 99.
They do give you like a film.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you'd want to walk around like
that. He wore them all the time. And I go, why does he do that? He goes, he likes it. He likes, like, I don't know, like what, making people uncomfortable?
I mean, there you go.
Like, I'm like, and then it's just like, okay, well, there's the fact that type of personality exists in the world means that it's, with 7 billion people, then statistically it's inevitable that, it's possible somebody in New York is going to be like somebody that fucks with people on the subway platform. Hey, guess what? An artist is on the subway platform in New York City. Like, that's not rare. When I was in the BART in San Francisco,
my gosh,
there was a cellist, and this.
So you see some crazy stuff. Some cool stuff.
There was a cellist playing a piece of music, and like we were only waiting for our train for like maybe a few minutes, but I wanted to like go to the ATM and throw like $40 in his cello case because it was just that fantastic of a performance. Just as a street performer, I'm like, wow, you're in one of the richest cities in the world, and you're playing the cello on a subway platform. And then he started playing, and I'm like, well, goddamn, now I get it. Like, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And then there's people who are like, I want to make people uncomfortable. Like, and I'm like, okay, go hug your mom. Like, I want to put him on the couch, right? I want to turn him not evil. Like, I want to
go hug your mom.
Yeah.
I think that's good advice for everybody.
Yeah.
Go hug your mom and your families.
Yeah.
You goofball.
I am a goofball.
You are a goofball. A goofball whose shirt matches his mic. Color coordinating.
You keep reporting on that.
Because it, like, disappears if I look at it just right. It's really weirding me out. It's like...
Hey, guess what? What color do you wear most of the time?
Black.
What color is your mic?
Black.
Yeah.
That's just because you're boring. Mine are all sorts of pretty colors. You didn't want the pretty colored ones.
Who got those for you?
The ones that I'm using right now, I did because they had better colors than the ones
God.
you gave me. I love you.
Asshole.
Best friend. So you didn't give me purple. I had to buy a purple one.
All right, fine.
I'm using the other ones you gave me, though.
That makes sense.
That was weird. What happened there?
I'm good. What else we
You got possessed.
Yeah.
For a moment.
Sorry, I get Italian when I'm like.
Wait, hold up. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get Italian.
I turn into.
Excuse me.
It's not authentic Italian. I turn into Chef Boyardee.
It's like some people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I talk too loud." Or I'm sorry. Sometimes I cut people off. Like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get Italian." Like, what? That's not a thing. I punch the table a lot, so I'm sorry for that.
Thud.
Yeah. Do you keep hearing it?
Yes.
What's wrong with me?
What else we got?
I can't be on a podcast without punching the table.
Hey, Becky with the good hair. What else we got?
Ooh, don't call me that.
About Bex.
From a lot of the research that I was doing, it seems that whenever anybody tries to tell their story, a lot of people are like, "Fuck you! They don't exist. Do you believe in Slender Man?
Yeah, this is why I
It's
don't
on
play
the
online
internet."
games. This is why I don't play online gaming anymore.
Yes,
because it's
like every time people share their story, I'm like, calm down.
Because if you're a gamer, I automatically assume that you're worse than like the worst type of racist. Like, because you're like, oh, at least racists believe in something. Like,
yeah, you just hate
you're
everybody.
Just like, I'm gonna be a 4chan troll.
That's unfortunately like a lot of what I was seeing. I did see something really interesting. Somebody was commenting. This is from a Reddit thread. These stories that I've read, that I've read on Reddit. Sorry, you're giving me a really dirty look.
I didn't mean to.
You're just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, that's the look I just got. Like, eyebrows raised, eye blank. Like, he totally did the girl thing.
Lo siento.
This person was saying that they read a book with a story that had this. It was let me find it. I'm just making stuff up. There was an interview. Yeah, they interviewed an author of a book. Stop messing with it. You're making the crackling worse.
Okay.
They interviewed the author of a book that had a collection of like accounts and scary stories that was released sometime, they said, between the 70s and 90s. So I don't know if they're saying the book was released between the 70s and 90s or if the stories were collected through that time. But what this person was trying to say is that they believe they read something about a black-eyed kid type story from before the Brian Bethel story really came out and kind of blew up. So, because some people were saying like, well, how come we didn't hear about it until him? That was the most common thing that I saw for people that were claiming this isn't real. It was all people that were saying, well, how come we didn't hear about it before? And I feel like the reason you might not hear about it is it's not, I don't want to say it's not that scary, but it's not. Like, it's, of all of the things, it's not like people that are like, I think there's a fucking ghost in my house, it's been throwing stuff, that's been like tormenting me. They're like, these weird kids asked for a ride. Pretty sure their eyes were all black. I got freaked out and drove off. Also, it's kind of like embarrassing. You're like, these kids scared me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like no one wants to be the villain at the end of Scooby-Doo. He's like, I would have done what I needed to do if it weren't for you meddling kids. Like, no one, like, straight
up, like, people are like, don't want to admit that some kids were possibly lost,
dragged by an 8th grader.
Yeah. Like, well, like, they don't want to admit that like some kids knocked on their door for help and they were like, go away, fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and then reading the paper like they died the next day.
Like, I mean,
like you could have helped.
Yeah. Well, and even not just that. It's just like people don't want to tell a story. Like, they might tell a couple people, but it's not like, we have to put this on the news and the internet that some weird kids came and knocked on your door. Like, that happens to some people a lot, depending on where you live. Mm-hmm. Around fundraiser time, a lot of weird kids knock on my door.
Right.
It's just, it is what it is. But I think that's part of why this story, maybe you don't hear about it as much, is people have these one-off kind of weird, like, just experiences where something's kind of weird. Because some of the stories I read last time, people mentioned that they didn't realize, like, they knew something was off, but it took them a while to notice the eyes.
Right.
It was like they had a weird feeling, and then it was like, oh, holy shit, their eyes. And that was when they, like, had the major freak out. But it wasn't until then that, that they really saw what it was about it. It was just kind of freaky. So it's like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, and who knows? The phenomenon may be more popular than we think just because of the lack of reporting. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Is like, I just feel like there's probably a lot more people that have experienced this,
Maybe.
and they just don't report on it. I don't know. What do you think, Nicholas?
I don't know either. And
If
that's
a black-eyed kid knocked on your door, would you let them in?
No. If anyone other than my children knocked on my door, I wouldn't let them in.
Even when I knock on your door, it's what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, podcast?
What are you here for?
Here's a podcast. Hi.
You brought Arby's. Why'd you bring Arby's?
Yeah, you were really mad about that. It was very strange. Don't bring Arby's to Nick's house after asking him if he would like any, because the answer is no. And then why did you buy that? For my belly? For eating?
All right.
All right.
Well, that's going to wrap us up on Black Eyed Kids.
We're going to be all wrapped up.
And we're going to come back next time with a new topic.
Maybe a topic of your choosing.
I will have to do all the research. And I'll have to tell the story, and you'll have to react.
That would be fun.
We've done that. It didn't work.
Yeah, we didn't post that one. Because I rage quit in the middle after threatening you.
I tried to convince her about the truth of Flat Earth.
And I'm not buying it.
And we can't go back. And we can't we can't even touch the subject.
No, I'm mad about it still.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't believe in Flat Earth and he thought it'd be funny to try to convince me, and it just made me mad instead.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to find something
I have anger issues.
So I'm going to have to research and find something I do or believe in or don't believe in.
You know what? I think it'd be really fun for us to hear what the curmudgeon does believe in.
Okay.
What does the curmudgeon believe in?
I believe that the universe exists to recreate itself through singularities and black holes.
No. Hold up. Stop.
Organic life and planets are just
That was me slamming on the brakes.
Right.
And now we're backing up the bus. Backing it up.
Okay.
What paranormal thing do you believe in?
Oh, I don't.
We're going to find one, and it's going to be in the next episode.
Okay.
So join us next time. If you have a topic, please let us know what topic you'd like us to speak at you about.
Definitely going to say, our DMs are open, and you can at us. So
you can slide on into those.
Yes. All right. Keep the campfire smoldering.
Keep it burning.
Burning. Yeah, burn that campfire.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Say the things.
Ooh.
What is
Mic check for Heidi.
Hey, campers, thanks for listening. Got any scary stories? Send them to campfirecurmudgeon@gmail.com or message us on Facebook. You can even send a text or leave a voicemail at 480-442-0124. Don't forget to visit us on Instagram and tweet us at CFCurmudge.